Hello, my name is Brennan, and I'm joined with Trent, and this is Fancy Recall. All right,
I
let's
didn't
go.
realize.
All right, guys, what's up? Oh man, uh, we're
Hope you
looking
liked a
fancy today.
monotone intro for Fancy Recall.
Yeah, we gotta be a little fancy every once in a while. Fancy living. Da 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 da. Yeah. So this is Recall. Again, I'm Brennan, joined with Trent, and got a lot to talk about. Not really. Did you trade another corn dog? Was that what it was last week?
It was a corn dog.
Corn dog.
No one was taking my corn dog trades, and there wasn't
Wow.
much info to grab anyway. So
Wow.
no corn dogs being traded this time around.
Well, I would take your corn dog, Trent.
Okay. I appreciate that offer. I'm, not
All right, let's get into it
gonna-
before this
I'm
gets any
just gonna
weirder.
have to pass on that. Thanks though. Uh,
What's going on in League of Legends?
Well, there hasn't been much news. They did officially announce the schedules for LPL and LCK this past week. But like I said, those were actually what I ended up guessing they would be. We have times though now, but we'll go through that later. As for actual rosters or teams or anything, there has been a couple little minor developments. Mostly FlyQuest is the only NALCS team who's had some roster swaps. They're going to be having Santorin as their jungler. They're not going to be running what was his name from the old Immortals roster? Who was their jungler last season? That I'm totally drawing a blank on. Their previous jungler of I'm totally drawing a blank on his name. But basically, they're going to be playing Santorin instead. If you remember him, he was on TSM at one point. Then he ended up being on a couple other teams, cycled around back and forth. His last team he showed up on being the H2K lineup of spring 2017 or 2018 before he very quickly got taken off that roster, actually. He didn't last very long. So FlyQuest is really the only NALCS team with a lot of roster changes. They're going to be running Santorin in the jungle. They'll be back to running Keen in the mid lane. And they're also going to be picking up Quan as their support in the bot lane. So they're going to be the only fresh faces you see on the NALCS side. And as for EU, the really change in roster that I've only caught on, and it's not even a change in roster, it's just previously Mini Trupax is now going to be calling himself Attila, as then like Attila the Hun, and he just changed his summoner name for that because I mean you can find it on his Twitter. There was a reason posted, but just little updates here and there. If you're going to be spectating, you're like, who is this new Vitality ADC and why is he so good or bad? Depending on how he does. Well, that's what happened.
Gotcha.
So
and I think it was either Reignover,
it wasn't
Xmithy,
Reignover
or Dardoch.
on FlyQuest.
Oh, on FlyQuest. Why did I look up Immortals? I'm dumb, dude.
Because he was previously on Immortals as like their backup jungler. That's what you were thinking.
Yeah. Dang it.
Anda.
Go
that's
on.
Who I'm thinking
I'll
of.
figure this out.
It's Anda. That's who it was, by the way. I found it. But like I said, we were really expecting more roster swaps as time got closer. Not much happened. Even Froggen is still sitting without a team, at least not a team announced at the moment. It's actually pretty crazy that we're going to be going into this year without many roster changes. There'll be Sir Nukesalot is the Giants' new support, but who knows how long that will last because that was announced pretty last minute. So
yeah.
I wouldn't expect for any of these roster swaps to be completely set in stone. More of a just if these lower tier teams are trying to course correct and make a little bit of adjustments just to help, their team standings later on.
Yeah.
The actual final news, the stuff that, we can say for sure is the schedules of all of these regions.
Yeah, for sure.
So I figured we'd start with the new best region in the world, obviously, is the region that won MSI. We'll hit up LPL first.
Oh, wait, not NA?
No,
go on.
NA.
I wasn't part of it. Okay, go on.
No, NA is just the best region in the universe.
Okay.
It would be unfair if we took best region in the world too on top of that. So that's
Okay.
just fair for that to be LPLs.
Perfect.
But the first game of LPL is Monday the 11th at 4 a.m. for Central Time. So adjust accordingly. Chances are, if you're in A, you're not going to be watching these games. The only, really the best shot you have is stay up super late on the West Coast, or if you're on like the East Coast of NA, wake up super early. But it's just not realistic. That being said, I've kind of been looking through the games. Realistically, there's not that good of a matchup on any like week that was like super, you need to watch this. Team World Elite picked up a couple players, but I wouldn't expect much from them, at least not starting, because they have such a huge roster. It's going to be tough for them to figure out who they want to play.
Yeah.
There aren't any big matchups. Hi, Kat. There aren't any big matchups to look out for right off the bat in the first week. It's going to be Invictus Gaming playing against JD Gaming, which didn't really place last year. Bilibili Gaming did half decent in the Demacia Cup, but they're not playing against anything really spectacular. RNG has one game their entire first week, and they're also going to be playing against JD Gaming. It's not going to be a very good look at how the league's going to play out, even as first weeks go, for not being good look at that, because it's just going to be high tier teams versus bottom tier teams, back and forth. So
okay. Fun.
I wouldn't expect to get too many like good reads on the whole state of LPL based on the first week.
Yeah.
Sadly, that transitions over to LCK, it seems, too. Once again, kind of repeat of what I just said there. There's not going to be that many games to judge on, who's going to be really strong or who's going to be weak this season. We're going to see really the two games I would use to like even get an idea of what this LP or LCK split's going to look like is going to be on Wednesday and going to be on Saturday of the first week of LCK, because that's going to be the Africa Freaks, which were the second place team in LCK, versus SKT T1 on Wednesday, and it's going to be Africa Freaks versus KT Rolster on Saturday.
Okay.
So this doesn't by any means have to be good games, but it will give us an idea of, at the very least, it's going to give us one of two ideas. KT Rolster and SKT are back to where they should be, or Africa Freaks are going back down. Can't say for certain until we see the games. And of course, you can get a better idea of one of those two based on how they play. If it seems like both teams grasp macro and micros, just one wins a little bit better, usually it means both teams are good. If it's a Clown Fiesta, it means one team is sinking. But with that being said, that will be a couple good games to hopefully watch for. But like Kingzone Dragon X plays against formerly Samsung Galaxy, formerly KSV, now once again renamed to Gen G, or Generation Gamers.
Okay.
They're just going to keep rebranding until they have another good season, I guess. I don't know. So realistically, I wouldn't expect a lot from that matchup. Maybe this meta fits Ruler. He did pop off in the Ardent Sensor meta, but I don't know. This patch, I would believe this season, or these splits, these first weeks, would be played on patch 8.10 or 8.11. I don't think 8.11, but it's possible, but 8.10 for sure, if not 8.11. Demacia Cup was played on 8.10, so for all intents and purposes, these teams should be ready to play on that at least.
Okay, interesting. Well, definitely fun. What about the good old tried and true? What's going on with NALCS? I guess we can mention EU as well, but I mean, they're not even
EU
country.
EU is last, not save the best for last, just the last. But
that's good.
NA is going to start up on Saturday the 16th, and we are going to have a couple more hype matches, but still maybe nothing to call home about. Just kind of depends on how everything plays out. We're going to have the finals rematch of 100 Thieves versus Team Liquid on Saturday, and that's the very first match we start with.
Oh, really? That's
right
awesome.
After that, it's going to follow with TSM versus CLG, which, although recently has not lived up to the hype, was the original rivalry for NALCS.
Yeah,
that's about all the good matches for Saturday. You'll see Golden Guardians versus Optic, which is bottom of the barrel versus bottom of the barrel. Cloud9 versus Clutch can stand to be a very good match, but doesn't necessarily have hype behind it. And then finally, you'll see the repeat of the third place match in Clutch Gaming versus Echo Fox on Sunday at 5 o'clock or around 5 o'clock whenever they get around to playing that game.
Interesting. Okay. That's not too bad of a schedule. I like that.
I'll say for NA, they have a much better start than some of these other regions, and that includes even EU. Because what's crazy is usually all these regions, they start their season with the very first game being the finals rematch.
Yeah.
That's like how it's always been done. And for some reason, the only region that did that this season was NA. So, for example, in EU, Friday the 15th is when it starts. They're going to be doing Vitality versus Splice, which was the third place match from last split. So their first match is going to be the third place match from last split. And they're not going to get to basically what their finals was until I believe it's week 3. Yeah, it's week 3 on Friday. That's when they finally get to another Fnatic versus G2 game.
Wow. That's crazy.
So it's just kind of interesting. Aside from that, we will see Fnatic versus Misfits on the first day of EU, which, although Misfits was a very bad team, they always played at their best when they were going against Fnatic. That was the one team that Fnatic lost to twice in the regular season last split, was Misfits Gaming. So that might be a decent game to watch out for. And depending if Schalke 04 has righted their ship, they also play Fnatic on Saturday, so that might be a game to watch out for.
Okay. Interesting.
But realistically, like I said, you can never judge a league based on how the first week goes, but especially going for this split, it does not look like any of these teams are going to give us a good idea of who's going to be top dog because the matchups are just already seemingly so one-sided.
Yeah. Well, yeah, hopefully we can get a new look into like the meta, and obviously, like you said, we can't base too much around it, but at least we'll be able to see just a bit of what direction they're going at least.
On a note of more rookie professional League Legends, not even professional, but more rookie competitive League of Legends, we are going to be having the Collegiate Championship coming up this weekend, starting the 7th. And they're going to have a host of the normal NA casting crew going over these games, and we're going to see things like University of Texas at Dallas playing. That's a weird college name. The normal Maryville University is going to be there. UCI is going to be there. A bunch of tech schools, a bunch of smaller schools will be there to play, though. So that'll be interesting to watch. It might not be the best League of Legends you'll ever see, but it's something to hold you over for the next week until the actual regular split starts. Plus, I mean, these players could eventually be in the LCS depending on how well they play. Maybe when they finish their degree, they'll just head right there. So
yeah,
they have that announced on Twitter who's going to be the broadcast team on that. That's going to start on the 7th. It's just going to be a very quick tournament. They knock out in one weekend, and then we'll go from there.
Awesome. Well, sick. Well,
that's really all it is for me. I hope everyone's games and solo queue have been going well with the mid-season jumble that has been going on, what with the ADC rework and the jungle rework and the Pike release and just everything being completely topsy-turvy in League of Legends. But moving on to something a little more stable, or at least as stable as it can get, we can have you talk about the Overwatch League and how nothing is the same after Stage 3.
Yeah, basically. But first, all I've been playing is ARAM. I love the new map, Bilgewater.
Which is great.
So dope. It's so fun. But yeah, we'll go ahead, hop over to some Overwatch.
Do you like what do you think of the new items for ARAM? Do you enjoy those?
So interesting. It's so interesting.
I know they'd be broken. I know they'd be so broken
horribly.
In Summoner's Rift.
Yeah. No.
I still want them to be in Summoner's Rift. I still think they'd be a ton of fun.
It would be
maybe only in normals. Like, I guess that kind of goes against competitive integrity. Like, I wouldn't want those in ranked, but they're just so fun to goof around with.
Maybe 3v3s. I could see them doing it in 3v3s because no one cares about 3v3s.
I'd be okay with it in 3v3s. Yeah.
That'd be interesting. But yeah, they're fun to use, that's for sure. Interesting but fun. But all right, we'll go ahead, hop over to some Overwatch. Basically, last week we had week 3 go through, and nothing's the same. No one knows what they're talking about. Everything's dying, and we're struggling as far as analysts and predictions go. We are all over the place.
I thought you were talking about the state of U.S. politics. My bad.
Oh, Oh, you went there.
I went there. I had
Okay.
to. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Well, back to Overwatch. Yikes. So we'll start it off. Week 3. Some of the few games that we were looking out for: XL versus Philly Fusion. XL got that big old 4-0. So Philly fell, and they go on to fall again with 1-3 to Los Angeles Gladiators. So Gladiators look pretty good this week, but not too good. We'll move over to London Spitfire. We've been talking about how horribly they've been struggling since, I guess, a little bit of end of stage 2 and then into stage 3. They were just awful compared to what we know them to be, and it just continues. They did get a win against the Boston Uprising, so there's a slight glimmer of hope, but then they got 3-1 by Dallas Fuel. But to be fair, the Dallas Fuel have
I'd say
been...
Dallas Fuel is on a tear right now.
Dallas Fuel have been doing very well so far. I don't know what's changed in them, but I love it. So that's all that matters. It's been a very fun meta to watch them play, and they've really adjusted and gotten really comfortable to it. And some of these other teams like Seoul and Spitfire are struggling still. And another team that's struggling is the Boston Uprising. They're struggling even worse. They are still not up to 1 win with this stage yet. They are a big old 6-0. It really makes you wonder, like, where does this team go? It's kind of hard to really nail it down to what their issues are, but they just look nothing like the team that we saw last stage. Last stage, their dives were on point. Everything they did, it looked like they did it with a purpose. Now it just looks like a bunch of bronze players in solo queue trying to, one's playing Tracer, one's playing Brigitte, and I don't know. It's just all over the place.
They just have no coordination, or it seems like they're all over the place. I get that.
For the most part. And to be fair, when they played Spitfire, it was a pretty close game. I mean, it was 2-1. There was a tie in there. But at the end of the day, they still lost. And we're still at a 0-6 Boston Uprising. They're just above the Florida Mayhem and the Shanghai Dragons, if that tells you anything. And honestly, the Florida Mayhem almost got a win over the Dynasty, so they would have been over the Uprising, which is a crazy thought to think ever.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, yeah, it's hard to tell what is actually going wrong. Like I said, they're just disconnected, and I mean, there may be internal issues, there may be player issues. Who really knows? But we hope they get better. We don't want them to be the Browns of the Overwatch League first stage.
That spot is exclusively reserved for the Shanghai Dragons. So
I'll get to that in a little bit. One more thing I want to talk about last week is the Los Angeles Valiant putting on a show. They 3-0'd the Los Angeles Gladiators. They won the Battle of LA. That kept them undefeated. And then later in the week on Saturday, they beat the New York XL in overtime 3-2. So they are the only team in the Overwatch League that is undefeated right now. They are a crisp 6-0 with a +10 map differential. Just take a look at the standings real quick. We got the XL at second, 5-1. Gladiators are 5-1, and then the San Francisco Shock, they made it to number 4. And quick note, the San Francisco Shock did beat the Dallas Fuel 3-1. That was another one of those games that we were looking at to see who was really gonna get ahead between those two, since they were in that 4-5 or 5-6 spot. One team that I predicted that I thought would fall, Philly Fusion. They're now in 7th after last week. They went 0-2. So
wow.
But we got 5th Houston Outlaws. They're right on the verge of getting into the playoffs there. We got Dallas Fuel, like I said, Fusion, Spitfire, Dynasty, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, it's an interesting look this season, or this stage. We only have one Korean team that's in our top 4, which hasn't happened ever. And of course, it's New York XL, but the rest of them, although they do have Koreans on their squad,
they're not full Korean
they're
rosters.
Not full-blown Korean rosters that are these powerhouse rosters. Both powerhouse rosters aren't even in the top 6 right now in the stage standings for stage 4, which is just asinine almost, after the
Mhm.
showing that we got from stage 1, even stage 2. And although the Spitfire had struggles and this whole dynasty had a little bit of struggles, stage 3, I mean, they were all solid teams still for the most part. They weren't going to
You
lose
wouldn't
to
have
these easy
expected them to
teams.
fall from a grace this bad. Yeah.
This is just, it's getting almost scary, especially. Let me check out the overall league standings. Spitfire are kind of lucky. I think they almost have their spot cemented in for the playoffs, which is kind of upsetting because we're going to have this not so great team in the the grand finals of Overwatch League. They're still sitting in third, even though they're 23-36. I don't remember. I think they're 3-3, or what are they?
They're 3 and
Yeah,
3.
they're 3 and
this
3. So it's not
stage.
like they're getting blown out constantly. But again, I don't think they are a top 6 caliber team at the moment, and it just showed with their play. Uprising are starting to fall down a little bit. They're in the number 4 spot. Dynasty are falling down a little bit. They're in the number 5 spot. And Gladiators made that number 6 spot. So I still don't think it's possible for the San Francisco Shock to make it. Overall, they're 16 and 20. The number 6 spot right now is 21 and 15. Everyone else is going to have to lose somehow. And by an act of God, they're going to have to win every single game for the remainder of the split. But even then, I don't think they can, because we only have 4 games left. So it's not.
The dream is dead.
They're unfortunately
I
out
was
of it.
hopeful, but
Now, one team that we could possibly, and they had a decent week, the Houston Outlaws, they might actually be able to make their way. They'll have to force their will onto some people, but they could actually make it out. Let me see. Who did Houston play? Houston beat the Dragons and then the Mayhem. So it wasn't like a crazy thing at all, but they got some good wins on the board, kept them from dropping any farther, and that's that.
Well, if they're going to make that push, they're going to have a crazy next 2 weeks to pull off to make it, and I'll let you hit that later. But
for sure. So we'll go ahead and we'll look at next week, and I'll go ahead and just say this straight off the bat. Trent, you mentioned it earlier. Shanghai Dragons are the Browns of the league, but they play the Boston Uprising on Friday, June 8th at 6 p.m., and there's a lot, and I mean a lot, of speculation from analysts, from fans, that Boston Uprising are going to be the Shanghai Dragons' first loss.
Whew.
Which is
that would be rough. Going from literally, a favorite basically in stage 3 to, I guess, favorite to lose at all against the Dragons.
Yeah.
That would be rough.
They're in a dark place, and how far have they fallen, man? But yeah, everywhere I've just been on Twitter seeing everyone saying that, yep, this is the Shanghai Dragons time. And to give credit where it's due, kind of, Shanghai Dragons have been playing decently well. Their biggest issue is, it's dumb, but core mechanics when it comes to their ult economy. I watched them play, I think it was the Dynasty last week. Let me make sure that's right. 3. Yeah, they played the Dynasty, and they probably could have won that. Honestly, it was a 4-0, but they probably could have won it. The first game was a very, very close game. Shanghai had 6 ults that were ready. Dynasty had 1. And I think it was a DPS ult. It wasn't even like anything crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And Shanghai somehow flubbed it. They all used their ults at different times. It was just very disconnected. There was no synergy whatsoever, and they just got ran over from there. It was like, wow. It was
interesting.
It was very, very sad almost, because everyone in the crowd, everyone was like, this is the Shanghai, this is their map. Like, there's no way they can flub this. They have 6 ults, and they're pushing on to the last point. All they have to do is wipe them, and what are Seoul going to do without any ults? They can't defend against that. I don't care how bad you are. Somehow they did, because Shanghai just didn't really do anything with it. It was pitiful, almost. And it made me mad, because you know how Overwatch League casters are. They're not mean, very rarely, other than Monte Cristo. It's like, oh, they were just a bit unlike. No, they suck. So I'm hoping that Boston doesn't lose to them. But if I'm being honest, Boston looks like they suck as well right now. So that's gonna be a
So
fun
that'll be
one.
a great clown fiesta to watch.
Oh, like you wouldn't believe. I can't
Is it gonna be
wait.
a sad clown fiesta, or is it gonna be like a happy, fun? This is entirely stupid fun clown fiesta.
I'm gonna say bring some tissues, a little bit of popcorn, some chocolate to binge on, and get ready to be sad. Maybe a sad clown in the background.
Sad. Okay.
It's not gonna be a good one. Maybe a corn dog
I
if you're
say
Trent.
you just described the thing that Kinsey gets when she wants to watch a sad movie. So
That's what I was going for. Oh
tissues and
man.
chocolate, and I'm
Yep.
like, I just want to watch Avengers,
Yep.
and you want to watch The Notebook. Okay.
Oh yeah. But we'll take a quick look at the schedule. On Wednesday, we got a really good game. I think this is going to be the Dallas Fuel versus the Houston Outlaws. Like Trent was saying earlier, Dallas Fuel have been on a tear lately. Houston Outlaws have a lot to prove. They're just fluctuating back and forth from week to week. We're going to need some consistencies if we're going to see them in the grand finals. On Thursday, we got the Valiant versus the Spitfire. Valiant, honestly, it's going to be a run over, I think, but we'll mention it. The Gladiators and the Excel play on that day as well at 8 p.m. That's going to be a really good game. That's the number 2 spot versus the number 4 spot, 3 spot. That's 2 versus 3 spot. So that's going to be a very, very fun game. We'll see how Fisher can carry his team this time. And then Thursday's just a packed day. We got the San Francisco Shock versus the Philadelphia Fusion. Fusion have been kind of on the down tilt, but the Shock have been looking really, really good. They're in that number 4 spot, so we're going to see if they can keep that up, solidify that position, and wipe the Fusion out of there. Then we'll go over to Friday. Nothing really. Like I said, the match to watch for: Boston Uprising versus Shanghai Dragons. Will it happen?
Just to see if Shanghai can finally pick up their first win.
Oh yeah. That same day we got Fusion versus Dynasty. Dynasty will probably win that. I'm assuming maybe the Fusion. It'll be a good mid-tier game for sure. It'll be a little bit less actiony, I guess you could say. And then Saturday, this is going to be a fun one. We got the Excel versus the San Francisco Shock. This will really be a proving point for them to see if they can even contend with this top Korean team. Obviously, they're doing all right against the other mid-tier Korean teams that are struggling, but this is the example that has been set forth is the Excelsior, and it always has been.
It may be a statement in the season. We might not have made it to finals because of our lackluster start, but come next season, we can take a game off Excel now. We can make it to finals then. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It'll be a good note to get close to ending the split or the stage on.
Yep. We also got the Spitfire playing the Gladiators. Gladiators are probably going to wipe them, honestly. And then to end our Overwatch League week, we've got the Outlaws versus the Valiant. I honestly think, from how it's been playing out, the Valiant are going to wipe them. But, again, the Outlaws are been up and down. Last week, they went 2-0. So they were having an up week. So this might be a down week.
This might be their down week.
If it follows the trend, it might be their down week. So we got to... maybe they'll keep
temper
going
our
up.
expectations, yes.
But it'll definitely be one just to check in on, I guess, So, But yeah, that's about all that we've got. We've got the World Cup of Overwatch announced. So basically, how that works is Blizzard anoints. I'll say that's not a good word. Picks a community manager or just like a manager of each team for each region. From there, the coaches, players, all that stuff is voted on by the fans and whatnot. And so that will be going on. Let me see. Are you not going to give me a date? Really? Really? Why you no give me date? I'm sorry, guys.
We come very prepared for our show.
Yeah, I just thought about this last second.
I'm just teasing you, man.
No, you got me. I screwed up, yo. Well, shoot. Anyways, I'll get the date for that next week. It's not anytime soon, so it's not a big deal. But that'll be something to watch
It
out for.
was the first weekend of November the last time it was held, so we could
Yeah.
expect it to be a similar date to that. So most likely the third to fourth, but there's no way to tell for sure.
Yeah, so it'll definitely gonna see the grand finals first. After that, we'll see the All Star games, and then from there on, we'll probably see or we might see the All Star game with the Overwatch World Cup. But like you said, yeah, last year it was around November. I don't know if we'll still hit that same mark. It probably will because it'll be during the off seasons of Overwatch League, and then they'll be able to do that, and then we'll get some announcements for season 2 of Overwatch League. So we'll see what their timing is like that. Um, it'll be a fun event. I think last year Korea won, maybe Canada won. I think Canada won last year.
We can look into that real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Looks like the championship match
Uh,
was between Canada and
it
Korea,
was
and
South
Korea
Korea.
won.
Yeah. The United States went out kind of early. We busted out against South Korea. Feels bad.
I'll say when you lose in the first round to the team that won, though, it doesn't feel quite as bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not too
When
bad.
you go out in quarterfinals to SKT, or at least previous year's SKT, all of a sudden you don't feel quite as bad.
That's true. That's true. Well, hopefully we can make a better run and get some better seating this upcoming year. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me at Overwatch. Trent, anything you want to add?
That's it for me. I'm all good here.
Awesome. Well, guys, we appreciate you tuning in as always. Subscribe, give us a comment, tell you how you feel, tell us about your dog, your cat, maybe your grandma. Shout out to your grandma. And yeah, I think that's about it. So we always appreciate you guys. And this has been Recall. Take care.